Antarctica is on the top of everyone's bucket list these days as people spend tens of thousands of dollars to check out the world's southernmost frozen continent. But have you ever wondered what it would be like to actually live there? Today we will discuss with you on the topic, what will it be like to live in Antarctica? Welcome back to Signature's Life, and you're watching Signature's Science. Antarctica, the southernmost continent and the site of South Pole, is a virtually uninhabited ice-covered landmass. Most cruises to the continent visit the Antarctic Peninsula, which stretches towards South America. It's known for the Lemaire Channel and Paradise Harbor, striking iceberg-flanked passageways, and Port Lockroy, a former British research station turned museum. The peninsula's isolated terrain also shelters rich wildlife, including many penguins. While there is no native population on Antarctica, there are 40 permanent research stations with an average of 1,000 people living there year-round, around 25 people per station, braving harsh winds and an inhuman cold that once, in July 1983, dipped below 128 degrees Fahrenheit. This time of year, or summer, their winter, there is sunlight for only 3 hours a day, and it's like being on the moon, and just as isolated. As Antarctica is so difficult to get to, once you arrive, you can't leave until the next ship or airdrop comes 6 to 8 months later. You're completely isolated from February to October, when the cold and dark make flights too dangerous to attempt. So what do you do? What happens if you're stuck in a station for a year with really annoying people or a crazy sociopath? What does one do for fun in 21 hours of darkness? And how do you deal with such extreme cold or boredom? The continent was once a part of a larger landmass called the Gondwana that settled over the South Pole and split from Australasia and South America long before humans evolved. There haven't been any land bridges to Antarctica for around 35 million years. It has been an isolated island for all this time. Humans are thought to have evolved in East Africa very recently in geological terms, not more than 5 million years at most. We then left the ancestral homeland and moved across all of the continents of the world. Antarctica was already too isolated by distance, climate, and the storminess of its seas for primitive peoples to discover. It wasn't until 1820 when human technology and navigation were sophisticated enough to allow anyone to sail far enough south to even see Antarctica for the first time. There are a number of poorly substantiated claims of setting foot upon the Antarctic mainland from 1820, though 1899 is the first date accepted by some historians as undisputable. When the first people did set foot on Antarctica, there wasn't anyone already there. Antarctica is therefore one of the few places in the world that can truly be described as having been discovered, rather than there being people already living there who had known about it for hundreds or thousands of years before its discovery. The people who travel to or live in Antarctica fall into two main groups: those who live and work on scientific research stations or bases, and tourists. No one lives in Antarctica indefinitely in the way that they do in the rest of the world. It has no commercial industries, no towns or cities, no permanent residents. The only settlements with longer-term residents are scientific bases. These vary in size but typically have 50 people there in the summer and 15 to 20 in the winter. Summer lasts from October to November to March and April. The rest of the year is considered to be winter. There are around 66 scientific bases in Antarctica, of which about 37 are occupied year-round. The remainder are open during the summer and closed down for winter. There are about 4,000 people through the summer months and about 1,000 over winter each year. Most residents of scientific stations do a summary only. This is anywhere from 3 to 6 months, with a smaller number staying over the Antarctic winter. A typical tour is one summer or one winter, and the 2 summers either side, around 15 months in total. It used to be quite common for some to stay for 2 winters and 3 summers, though this is rare now. Some people have had an enforced winter. This is when ice conditions means the ship that should have come to get them couldn't get through and had to go home without them until the following year. The result is a wait for another 6 months or more until a ship can get through again. This can mean 3 summers and 3 winters in a row, or at least an extra Antarctic winter season that was not anticipated. Such events, however, were thankfully rare and did little for the mental state of the people involved, making fitting back into the world back home again and more problematic. The US base at McMurdo Sound has up to 1,000 personnel at the peak time. This is the nearest there is to a town. You can't move to Antarctica, find somewhere to live and then find a job. Meet someone, get married, buy a house, have kids, send them to school, start your own business, become a member of the local golf club, and become mayor. You can get a job in Antarctica as a scientist or in scientific support, but it has to be in advance before you go there. If you really want to and you have the required skills and you keep at it in case you don't get accepted first time, then you can go and spend some time in Antarctica having an experience of your life. Access to Antarctica is restricted by the Antarctic Treaty. If you want to organize your own trip or expedition there, you'll have to request permission from the government of your country. You will have to show that you will be completely self-sufficient and have a very good reason for wanting to go, which will have little or no environmental impact. Antarctica's sub-zero temperatures aren't only inhospitable to humans, but most of the mammals as well. While penguins, seals, and whales are the best known residents of Antarctica, they are seabirds and marine mammals. While they spend much of their time on the ice, they rely on the sea for sustenance, so they are not true continental inhabitants. The land of Antarctica belongs to tiny forests of moss, lichen, and liverworts, and the microscopic organisms that live within them. These include springtails, nematodes, midges, and the incredibly resilient tardigrades. These hardy creatures can withstand the extreme of temperature and high winds that deter all but the most sturdy of species.